Hi everybody, Dan Ullman, Mike Beer, Matt Bernier. It's a special DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day. On Saturday, it's the Pegasus World Cup Invitation. It's a $12 million purse. It's the Grade 1 rematch we've been waiting for. Arrogate versus California Chrome. Let's take a look at the field. They had to pony up $1 million, these owners, just to get into this race.
I was going to say, how was it an invitation? You had to pay $1 million to get in.
You're invited to pay the money.
You're invited to pay $1 million?
It's obviously the two horses we're going to be talking the most about in this race are Breeders' Cup Classic winner Arrogate, horse of the year California Chrome. California Chrome, a lot of folks, Matt, believe this outside post might work against him.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't help his cause, breaking on the far outside, and you see you've got 3 also eligibles in case there's chaos that ensues, but I don't think it eliminates him. I feel like a lot of people are saying he has absolutely zero chance now that he's break from the 12. If he is the horse that people have made him out to be, I'm not going to use the 12 can't be used as an excuse, in my opinion. I think he has a big chance. I'm not going to be surprised if he runs well. I just feel like he's running into a better horse.
Haven't the folks been saying for years now, Mike, that California Chrome loves the outside? He's not getting any further outside than this.
True. That's true, but look, the post doesn't do him any favors. I mean, good horses overcome things like this, and I truly believe he is a good horse, and he can overcome it. But, I mean, let's be realistic about it. He got a terrible draw, and he is up against it now.
Let's take a look at the replay of the Breeders' Cup Classic. He's on the lead. Arrogate's a 3-year-old coming off that record-breaking Travers score. You could argue that Chrome had the best of it, Matt, on the lead, and this Arrogate doesn't stop running.
Yeah, I feel like he certainly did. This is everything they could have drawn up if you were a fan of Chrome at this point, and Arrogate still comes and gets him. He's only raced 6 times. I feel like there's a forward move. I don't personally care that much that he didn't run in that wall or whichever race it was that was washed all sorts of, sloppiness. I just think this is a horse that is unlike one we've seen in a long time where racing, sure, obviously it would help if he could get another race in, but at the end of the day, he's done things that horses don't do.
How much of an advantage is it for California Chrome that this race is 1 1/8 and not 1 1/4? And we know the Gulfstream track can be speed friendly. He's great from the gate. Arrogate's good from the gate, not as good as Chrome.
Yeah, but Arrogate's got him way out post. Arrogate got a great draw down on the rail. All he has to do is break. And it's not like he's a slow horse. I don't think he's going to go right to the front, but they're going to come out of there running, I think. He's going to get up close in here, and we'll just see if it really affects California Chrome being hung out to dry on that first turn. To the 1 1/8, is it a big advantage for Chrome? I don't think it's a big advantage. It probably helps him a little bit. I mean, if nothing else, Arrogate, he wants to go all day long. So I think the 1 1/4 was probably to his advantage. I think the 1 1/8 maybe brings him a little bit closer together.
Remember, everybody, free Formulator Pass performances available on the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Download them, follow along with us. We'll give everybody their due time, beginning with the number 2, Prayer for Relief. He's earned over $2 million in his career, but the fact remains he has not won a race since December of 2013. Is the 9-year-old a little bit long in the tooth?
A lot longer in the tooth. Look, at the end of the day, he's a nice horse. He's shown up and he's running some big spots. Don't hold the Clark against him simply because his history at Churchill Downs is god-awful no matter what. Right now, how could you possibly make an argument for this horse to even come close to sniffing the board? He's working out lights out.
Can you make an argument for him sniffing the board?
No.
Let's take a look at number 3, Neolithic. Now, you've always been a big fan, Mike, of Neolithic. You were telling me during the Saratoga season this Todd's best 3-year-old. Not that that was saying much at the time, but at the end of the day, Todd put blinkers on, and this horse has just matured. He's shown good speed. He's been way more professional. He dominated a very weak field last time out at Gulfstream Park. Can you make the argument that this is the now horse we have yet to see his best, and after 2 big buyer tops, he's ready for another forward move?
I guess you could. I want to see it to believe it. I liked his last race just fine, but as you say, it wasn't the strongest field. He got right to the front, and he did what he had to do. He took a step forward in the Discovery, but to me, it's not like that was some kind of great performance. I mean, he got a great trip in that race, and the fact that he got turned away by Stick Stately, not that there's anything wrong with him, but I would have liked to see Neolithic win that race if I was going to really consider him in here. I also don't really think he has a great running style for this race. What's he going to do? He's going to be right up close to the pace that is supposed to be fast in here. I don't know. Maybe he'll prove me wrong in here, but I just don't get him in this race.
It really, for me, comes down to, and we won't know until Saturday, how the track is playing, because we've seen Gulfstream, particularly on big days, not only is it cranked up, but it's super speed friendly. It's Todd. It's South Florida.
Right.
I'm not going to be surprised. I think they have one way to go. I think you have to try to clear to the front. Maybe it's to his detriment. I don't feel like he's the kind of horse that you use underneath. I feel like he's a win or he's off the board.
I agree.
I think he'll run well in this spot, and I think if he emerges from this race relatively unscathed, there's a really nice 4-year-old season coming up for him in 2017, and I think he'll run really well on Saturday. It's just that he catches 2 sharp horses, and as Mike mentions, he's got speed, but so does the number 4 Noble Bird, and when the good Noble Bird shows up, he's capable of popping big buyer speed figures. Let's go back to the Fayette Stakes at Keeneland on a Bird allowed to rock and roll on the early lead, and it's Goodnight Irene against weaker horses. Although Divining Rod's no slouch.
Yeah, but Divining Rod's pretty good. Yeah, I guess you say when the good Noble Bird shows up, this is what he can do. It seems like the good Noble Bird only shows up, though, when he gets absolutely loose on the lead, which he did here, which he did in that Pimlico special when he ran the big 110. Otherwise, his races aren't so great, and I got news for you. He ain't making the lead in this race.
Clark handicap. Noble Bird didn't get the lead. The stinky Noble Bird showed up.
Yeah, I mean, he stood in the gate for a minute, and immediately I felt like a dummy for backing him at 5-2. I go because he's got no shot now. He can't overcome any adversity. It's fascinating to see just the complete stark contrast in his form. When it goes the way he wants it to go, he's a legitimate Grade 1 horse. When it doesn't go his way, he's a 50 claimer.
Here's the formulator fact for his trainer, Mark Cassie. Noble Bird's going to be a good price, so consider that when looking at this fact. Past 5 years, older dirt router, 61 to 180-day layoffs, 0 for 21. Noble Bird, we figure, is going to be part of the pace. It'll be interesting to see what the time form pace projector has for the Pegasus World Cup, and we're going to throw that out there right now. And you got to think that Noble Bird's going to be up there. He is. That's California Chrome up there. Are you surprised that they have Arrogate so close?
No, because I feel like that has been another thing that's been sort of, I want to say, overblown. People talk about Chrome with the 12 post. There's, validation to that. I get that. Arrogate, it's not like he was walking early. I get that maybe he's not as fast as California Chrome early, but I mean, it's not like he's slow either.
California Chrome going to show some big speed. In this situation, we have Neolithic sitting 4th and Arrogate. Do you agree with this pace projection?
I don't know about that. We'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like with California Chrome anyway, being the post 12, I don't know that Espinoza has that many options. And, he's lucky that at least California Chrome has always been a really sharp gate horse. I'm assuming he breaks and they go. The problem for him is just going to be they start almost right on the turn. And it's not like the race is just going to be run in a vacuum. I mean, there are a bunch of really smart riders drawn to his inside who know that they have maybe the horse to beat way over a barrel right now, and they are going to try and take advantage of it. Even if they aren't necessarily the fastest horses in the race, they know what they have to do here. They've got a chance to eliminate one of the major contenders in this race, and they're going to do it.
But if the pace projector plays out as the time form U.S. folks expect, Chrome fans, you're 3 wide at the first quarter. It's not a bad spot to be in.
No, again, and as you said, for his entire career, people have said, keep him in the outside. Well, guess what?
He's outside now.
You're in the outside. Enjoy it.
War Story just popped a 106 buyer speed figure at Aqueduct in the Queens County Stakes over the inner dirt. We're going to take a look at the stretch drive. Well, War Story just dominates a weaker field, but this was one of those days at the Big A, helped to be on the lead, and he was just cruising.
Rode a gold rail in this race. For some reason, they rated the other speed and turned him loose up there, and he did the rest. A good performance for him. He'll have to do better than that in this. I think one of the things that you could say as a positive for him anyway is at least, he ran maybe the best race of his life here. And it's not like he's ever been a big, one-run speed kind of horse. He'll run just fine from off the pace, and I suspect they'll go back to those tactics here.
Another thing he has going for him, it's first time Jorge Navarro. We have a formulator fact for Navarro and for War Story. Over the past 3 years with older horses on dirt, making the first start after a trainer switch 40%, his specialty. Almost a $7 ROI. He's going to really have to improve War Story.
You know what? He's been sort of the butt of jokes, and the more and more you look at it, I'm not really sure why. He's been thrown into really, really difficult situations.
He's thrown in tough spots.
But you know what? At the end of the day, has he ever run really just awful races? No. He's a nice sort of, I would say he's a listed stakes type. You know what? He fits in a race like the Queens County. I think this is a bit of an aggressive place.
War Envoy is yet to win in North America. His most recent victory came June of 2015 at Royal Ascot on the turf. This is a reach. You got a slot. You got to run somebody.
You know what? And I get that. But boy, I mean, you couldn't find anyone other than War Envoy.
He's in a little tough.
Shamango, however, is an intriguing sort of long shot. Maybe not to win it, but to spice up your exotic somehow. This is a horse that won the Grade 1 Woodward 2 starts pack for trainer Jimmy Jerkins. We're going to take a look at that stretch replay. He took down a big scalp and frosted. He got a great trip.
He got a great trip and ride in this race. A lot of horses got good trip and rides in this race. Maybe Frosted was the one who didn't, but this horse did what he had to do here. Personally, I'm not looking to put a bunch of money in against the big guns in this race. If I did, this would be the horse that I would put it on, though. I think he's the third best horse in the race. He does nothing really but show up and run good races, and I just want to give him maybe the benefit of the doubt for that Clark last time because things weren't going great for him at that time. If Jerkins has him right, I think he'll run his race. He's a good horse. He can get a good trip in this race. He's the other horse for me.
A nice overall body of work. Queen's Plate winner, Brooklyn winner, Woodward winner. Ran okay in the Clark, and then he got sick before the Breeders' Cup, so he's missed some time. But all indications are he's training well.
I think he's closer to the Woodward horse than he is the Clark horse. Like you say, he got sick before the Breeders' Cup, had to scratch the morning of. He was also pace compromised in the Clark. The Clark had no pace signed on the minute Noble Bird missed it and Gun Runner wired the field. I like Shamango. I think he's a nice horse.
If Semper Fortis couldn't win the Zia Park Derby, how's he winning the Pegasus World Cup?
He won't, and I think the connections will just be peachy if they're somehow running fourth, which I can't envision.
Bring home some kind of check. As you said before, you got a spot, you got to run somebody in.
A well-bred horse who was dangled for 62.5 at one point in his career. Key Nice knows a thing or two about beating big names. Let's go back to the Travers of 2015. You'll know some horses in here. That's American Pharaoh, the Triple Crown winner on the lead. That's Frosted on the outside. They've been hooked up for a while now, and Key Nice is just staying in the race on the outside, and eventually, to the shock of everyone at the spa, he was able to wear down American Pharaoh.
They're hoping, Castellano and Key Nice are hoping for a similar situation that they got here. They're hoping that the two big favorites in here hook it up from the get-go and race each other all the way around, and that he can keep himself close enough to do this and close them down at the end. Can he do it? Personally, I'll be surprised if he can do it. But I guess maybe in some ways he's the most likely horse to do that if things set up that way.
Yeah, this is just a horse that we know what his game is. He has one run. He's going to come with that. If this race was at 10 furlongs, I would feel a little bit more comfortable saying that he may be able to come with that run. At 9 at Gulfstream, I'm still a little bit dubious, but I think you've made mention of it numerous times. It feels like Todd has had this thing circled from day one whenever he got him, Pegasus.
I think he's going to run a sneaky good race. I'm not sure he's good enough to beat these kind of horses, but ever since Todd got him, I think this is the race they've wanted. They ran him on that one-turn mile. They caught a speed track. He ran on at the end. Todd was happy. And his second start off the layup, they ran him in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He wasn't going to beat the horses, Arrogate and California Chrome in that sort of situation. The Harlan's Holiday, it was a sneaky good race.
Yeah,
I mean, Stanford got loose.
Yeah.
He was just wide every step. Javier tried to keep involved and get him close. He finished. He galloped out really nice. 1 1/8 is comfortable for him. That being said, I can't see him beating big two.
I can't either, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he just gets the right setup here with the two favorites going after each other.
Breaking Lucky is a pretty underrated horse, I think, for trainer Reed Baker. He only got beat a neck in that Woodward. He came back. He disappointed a little bit in the Lucas Classic. I don't think he liked the wet track that day. He just never seemed comfortable at all. And then last time out at the Clark, he ran perfectly fine behind Gunrunner, finishing ahead of Shamango, finishing ahead of Noble Bird. He's a big-priced horse with tactical speed who's not completely out of a money spot.
It's kind of amazing that he's always going off at huge prices. I almost feel like, and as someone who likes Shaman Ghost in this race, I almost feel like I have no ground to stand on to eliminate this horse. They've run against each other several times, and they either finish very close together, or this horse gets the best of it. I mean, I still like the horse better for some reason, but it's not like this horse has no chance.
I feel like they are almost one in the same, not just because they have matched up so many times, but from a running style standpoint, maybe this one can be a little closer than Shamango, or wants to be a little bit closer. I thought the Clark was fine. The Lucas Classic, I'm drawing a line through. I just don't think he wanted the wet track. If there's anyone that I want to kind of key underneath, it's this horse.
If you're new to racing, if you're not familiar with trainer Laura Wohlers, here's your formulator fact. She had run Happy for a little while before all the drama there. 2 for 10, 373 ROI. The ROI goes up in a big way if Aragon, a Group 1 winner on both dirt and turf in Argentina, is able to pull off a shocker.
Look, he won that Grade 1 most recently. I thought he looked good. I don't know what he was facing. I don't know what he was beating. It was a one-turn mile. I will be stunned if he wins.
He feels like he's just found too tough a spot for his North American debut. On the other hand, the last 2 times I ran him on dirt, 2 Group 1 wins.
And now let's talk about the fantastic California Chrome. Over $14.5 million already in the bank from an earnings standpoint. We saw that tough loss to Arrogate in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Then he came back and he got his prep. And we're going to talk about the preparation for this race in a minute. He was facing overmatched horses in the Winter Challenge Stakes. Victor basically took him to San Jose on the backstretch. He didn't want to get in any trouble, and this was just a paid workout.
Right. That's all you have to say about this race. He was never going to lose to these horses, but It was nice to see him show up and just run the kind of race that he ran, which is, for a horse like him, who I always thought was good and not particularly any better than that. He showed as a 5-year-old last year that he may in fact be a great horse. He had an unbelievable year last year, and it's kind of unfortunate that he got hung up in post 12 here.
So after the Breeders' Cup Classic, California Chrome had a prep race. California Chrome was able to escape the wet weather in Southern California, has a workout over the track at Gulfstream Park, 2 of them as a matter of fact leading up to this race. Arrogate on the other hoof, he missed his prep race. He sort of had his training interrupted by all of that wet weather. Is California Chrome coming into this race maybe a little fitter?
Yeah, I think fitness-wise, I think it's hard to argue with that. The fact that this horse has had a race between the Breeders' Cup and now, he's been working regularly. He's been at Gulfstream for a while now, as opposed to Arrogate, who just landed, I think, two or three days ago. I still don't want to use that as the excuse. I just feel like, again, if Arrogate could win at 10 at Santa Anita off of a similar layoff, I don't want to use that as the excuse if he doesn't win Saturday.
So is questioning this just way overblown, or is it in Baffert I trust?
Yeah, I think in this case it probably is in Baffert you trust. I feel like if Baffert thought he needed a race for this horse, he would have gotten one for him. And I just don't think they felt like they needed it. We'll see. Maybe it'll wind up working against them, but I agree with Matt. I don't think it's going to be Arrogate's excuse.
Pick time for the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, $12 million purse. We're sticking with our Breeders' Cup Classic pick. Arrogate for all 3 of us. Inside post, you should be able to tuck in behind the leaders, and we'll see.
Did you guys both like him anyway, even before the posts were drawn? Did you feel like that was the way you were leaning? I did too. It made it a little bit easier, though, when they drew the posts.
California Chrome, to me, was the favorite before the posts are drawn. Do you think that this post position draw turns the tide a little bit, or are the Chromies going to be out in full force?
It'll be very interesting to see, because I have to be honest, I don't really know. I believe Chrome went off at 4-5 in the Breeders' Cup, or even money, and Arrogate went off at 8-5. If they came a little bit closer and it was 6-5, 7-5, I wouldn't be surprised. Look, if the 12 post makes that much of a difference in the wagering, I'll be very, very surprised. And again, maybe I'm in just the vast minority here. I get it. 12 doesn't help him. If he is everything that we have billed him to be, I can't say if he runs 3rd or 4th that's why, because he broke from post 12. I feel like that's kind of a cheap way out.
We're in agreement with Arrogate in the $12 million Pegasus World Cup. Approximate post time is 5:40 Eastern. We'll be on DRF Live beginning Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern at live.drf.com for all of the up-to-date handicapping and analysis. And if you happen to be playing the Gulfstream Pegasus World Cup Saturday card from home, new DRF Bet subscribers have a great bonus waiting for them. $300 sign-up bonus at drf.com/trifecta. Again, approximate post time for the Pegasus World Cup, 5:40 Eastern. It's race number 12 at Gulfstream on Saturday. Rematch we've been waiting for, California Chrome versus Arrogate. Best of luck.